Hello and welcome back. Today we have Shockwave from the Transformers Studio Series, representing his appearance as he appeared in the film Dark of the Moon. This is, I believe, a re-release of a figure which came out a number of years ago. It's Shockwave, as mentioned, as he appeared in that Transformers Dark of the Moon film, which was the third entry in the Bay films. So here we have him in the new style packaging for the Studio Series. So it's a darker black. We get some artwork of the Transformer on the side. We get a window box packaging with a small piece of plastic allowing us to see our figure strapped in there. We got some, we'll look at him properly, but there's definitely some really nice washing and detailing throughout on the figure. Up in the top we get a brief summary of how many steps it will take to transform him. On the top is just Transformers Dark of the Moon, Shockwave. On the side is the artwork spanning round. The Autobot symbol, he's a leader class Transformer. On the back we get a shot as he appeared in the movie with the worm-like drill. We get a brief bio of the character, and then we get a product shot of the character in his robot mode and his alt mode along with the accessories. So it appears we get a paratrooper figure along with two of the most awful Transformer characters we've ever had, but it is what it is. Below we get all of our legal parts. On the bottom, more legal and barcode. On the side we get a profile shot of Shockwave along with the character name, Transformers Studio Series Dark of the Moon. So there we have our figure. Let's get him opened and out of the packaging. Let's just bring... So let's just get this figure out of the packaging. So as part of the new Studio Series figure, he no longer comes with a backdrop as the older Studio Series figures used to come with, which is fine. I never used those, so I went straight in the bin anyway, and I, assuming for Hasbro to get rid of them, they must have felt that it was a similar situation for the majority of purchasers. I'm not saying there aren't those out there who didn't use them, and I'm certain that they are disappointed that we no longer have them, but we don't. We get the figure strapped using these plastic cable ties to the cardboard backing. We get a small piece of tissue paper with our accessories, along with a cable accessory and our paratrooper there. I absolutely hate these plastic cable ties. They just get everywhere. I certainly would have preferred Hasbro to have continued using the sort of almost like these sort of string ties they sometimes use. Definitely would have been a lot more environmentally friendly than these little things, but it is one of the it's probably the only bugbear I have with them now coming on this cardboard packaging. I certainly prefer, or I think, sorry, let me start again. This is definitely a big step up over the blister cell packagings. And, you know, while I never really had a problem with some of Hasbro's windowless packaging, I think this is a really nice compromise for collectors. And I just wish the other lines they had did the same. You can tell it's early in the morning. I can't find speak correctly today. Right, let's get rid of all these little plastic bits. You see, this is why I hate them. They just get everywhere. And then we get our little paratrooper as well. Let's make sure. And then we can get rid of the cardboard. Go in there. We can get rid of the other plastics. And then we can open our tissue paper, which has these very two tiny, they are tiny. Even here I can feel, in fact, if I didn't know it, I wouldn't be convinced that there was anything in here. Oh geez, they are smaller than they appear in the pictures. They are tiny, absolutely tiny. They are, so they are about the size of a thumbnail. In fact, if I bring in a 20p piece, you will see that they are in fact smaller than the 20p piece. They are absolutely tiny, to the point that you can't really see any of their detailing at all. There are. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to bring back in the packaging for a second, because you can see here the size compared to the accessory we actually got. I feel this is actually really quite misleading on Hasbro's part. If they'd been this size, they would have been perfect, and I've been quite happy with them. But these are, they have to be the world's smallest Transformers, honestly. They really do. And they don't, obviously, they don't transform. Yes, I'm to the point that I'm not even sure why Hasbro have included them in as an accessory. They don't offer anything at all. Yeah, an accessory is an accessory, but I feel that Hasbro could have done something else, anything else really. Maybe have given us a couple of extra Marines or something, you know. But these two are just, yeah, I really don't have anything to say beyond that they were included. Trying to see if I can get, see if we can get, see, the camera won't even focus on them, they're so small. Let's try one of them. No, I'm afraid to say I can't even get them to focus on the camera. They are that small. So yeah, we get those for some reason. We get a paratrooper with a white parachute. I'm trying to think of the material. It's like a polyester material rather than a cotton, which is actually interesting. I expected this to be a cheap cotton, but it's more of a polyester, and you can see that the strings holding the attaching to the paratrooper have actually been properly sewn in and things. So there has been some effort going into this accessory, which is quite interesting. It would have been very easy to have just had a cheap dollar or pound store army man figure attached, but you can see here that we get a rather detailed paratrooper. We get the face, the rest of the rest of the face is covered in the helmet and things, but you can see there's some, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but there's definitely some molded detail into this figure, which is really quite nice. This I like. I won't do anything with it. It will get shoved literally into my accessory drawer. But it is it's a different addition for a Transformer figure. It's quite cool, all things considered. In terms of its parachuting abilities, let's give it a try. So let's bring it up. Man, it kind of just drops. Let's see if we can try it again. Yeah, there's no real floating there. Gravity just takes over. It's possible that if you tried it from a larger height, maybe top of the stairs or something, the wind resistance would catch under and allow it to float a little better. But oh, that one worked a little better. I didn't even get it on camera, sadly. But yeah, for the most part, it kind of just falls. Still, it's a different accessory. But the main piece is our Shockwave, who is one of my favourite Transformers. Comes in his robot mode, I believe. Oh no, I think those. Oh, I see. There you go, at the back there. Out of the box, he is pretty much self-assembled, I believe. I don't think there's any... the arm cannon is round the wrong way, so you need to turn the cannon around the right way. And you're going to want to turn the arm around the right way. There is a lot of really, really soft plastic goods on this. I mean, like gummy plastic. Here, this is a really rubbery plastic. To the point I'm actually really quite disappointed with that. I was expecting it to be a hard plastic, but it's not. It is 100% a soft rubber, which is supposed to attach it, but I can see this. Oh, it sort of attaches, sort of holds. Yeah. So let's quickly attach our cable. Let's see how the instructions want us to attach the cable. It doesn't say. Our instructions literally do not tell us how to attach this cable to him, but I believe they are... Okay, so I'm going to assume it's to go in here at the back. That is a tight fit, and then I assume it will come round to here. I suppose in theory you could put it into... No, it won't go in that one, so it's definitely going to go, sort of, maybe. I'm not even certain it wants to go in that one. Okay. Let's try this again. This doesn't. I don't know if it's because it's gummy plastic or if the connectors are too small or what, but this doesn't want to go in at all. It sort of just sits on the top there. It doesn't really go all the way in, which I feel it should be going all the way in. You see it's popping out, so I'm going to leave this to one side for the moment and we'll have a look at the actual figure himself. Oh, so there's some more plastic ties attached to our figure here, so let's get rid of those. And this piece, which seems to be... I'm not even sure how this piece has gone on. Oh, let's see, sort of. There we go. I think, sort of. There's still some... I'm assuming that... Oh, there we go. There we go. That's the plastic gone. Okay, so here we have Shockwave. Initial impressions are... I really don't know. I'm immediately out of the packaging. He looks great. There's some really fantastic paint apps, but the two really rubbery plastic bits have me somewhat concerned. But let's look at the figure himself. So initially we get the head sculpt, which looks great. It's a painted eyepiece rather than light piping, which is a bit of a shame. I would have quite liked some light piping on the figure there. I think that would have really brought it out, but nonetheless it's a nice metallic red for the eye. There's some really wonderful molded detail in the mouth, and sort of the spikes here. The purple is washed with, or sorry, dry brushed with the black, which really helps bring out a metallic look, give it a machine look, and at the same time help that purple really pop. Moving down to the chest, we can see more of that metallic purple with the black dry brushing, coming into the molded detail of the lower abs, down onto the crotch plates. There's some plain grey plastic for the various connectors and ankles, etc. But there is a lot of this purple paint app throughout, which looks fantastic. It really does. We get down to the horns on the legs, which again are a rubber like plastic, and you can see they're hollow at the back rather than being a solid plastic. I guess I'm okay with those being a softer plastic. I could see if they were harder, they would snap easily. I'm also assuming that a lot of these sharper points are, yeah, look, the hands are the same. The hands are a gummy rubber. Even the tip of the barrel of the gun is. This is the first time I've ever come across this material like this in a Transformer. And I'm not right. Part of me is wondering if it's a softer plastic for children to play with, but typically Studio Series is aimed more of a collector line. So it does make me wonder why these are such a soft good material rather than a hard plastic. It also gives me concerns for how it's going to transform and if there's going to be issues with transforming it because of that. Moving around, we can still see there are plenty of really gorgeous detailing and paint apps here. There's even like a bronze colouring between the treads, which I wasn't expecting. In fact, I would have expected Hasbro to have just left that as a grey or something rather than giving it another paint app. But we do get it, and it really does help bring the character out. These bits on the jets on the back are a hard plastic with two different colour tones throughout. So you can see there is some really fantastic molded details and paint apps, but equally there are some really odd design choices on the figure in terms of its accessories and weapons being this hard, soft plastic, and I really don't know why that is. Now, as I said, my understanding this is a re-release of a previously existing figure. I don't know if the original had soft goods or the softer plastic on the hands. I don't know if it's a older Transformer style that's now no longer used, or if it's now something Hasbro are doing as a cost-cutting measure, or I really don't know why we're seeing this. Maybe it's over a concern that these bits would be too brittle if they were a hard plastic. I really don't know, but I don't like it. I really do not like it at all. It adds a cheapness to the figure. It's not so bad here, but certainly the hand and these accessory pieces leave me underwhelmed. This needs to be a hard plastic. This certainly needs to be a hard plastic. The cable you want as a gummy plastic because you want to be able to move and pose it about. So let's see if we can get it in. Let's see if we can get it in here, no problem. Then I assume it's to come round onto the arm. but I just can't seem to... Ah, there we go. So I think it might go in that back one rather than the front one. But there we have Shockwave. So articulation wise, we get the head on a ball joint. So it's it can look all the way up, can look down. Part of the, I guess, the transformation brings the head forward. So in theory, you could have them look right down. It gets a full turn, so we can get some nice movement out of the head. The arms are on. So the shoulder joints are on a swivel, but underneath is, see, with the gummy plastic that's just coming off, they are on a hinge, so you can get a lot of movement out of there. You get a single bend at the elbow. The hand is literally just on a hinge and will only go forward that far and back there. There's no rotation there. There's rotation at the top of the elbow, so you can move the arm around there. It's the same on the other side. Obviously the rest of the arm is taken up by the arm cannon. There's no other articulation or movement there. We get... There's no articulation at the waist, so there's no swivel. There is full movement at the legs, so we can get a full movement there. There is a calf swivel and single bend at the knee. The feet are on a various system of hinges, I presume primarily for transformation, but you get an ankle swivel here, and then you get a ankle tilt and movement here, and the back jets do move, so you can get some nice posability out of those for different shots. It's a nice figure, it's a nice looking figure, but so far the articulation is nothing special. And with the added rubber plastic bits, I am so far underwhelmed by this, which is really disappointing because Shockwave is definitely one of my favourite Transformers, and whatever my personal opinions are on the live action Transformer films, I actually quite liked the look of this Shockwave. It's a very menacing look, sort of quite evil and rather scary. So I was really looking forward to having this figure. But nonetheless, it is what it is so far. Let's get down to transformation and see how that works. So here we have our instruction manual. It's in a red and black and white. And we get our standard picture transformation instructions throughout. So let's see how this works, shall we? Oh, let's wait to him, but then equally some of the weight is lost because of this rubber plastic. I'm going to keep mentioning this because I am really quite disappointed with that fact. Okay, so instructions: we need to unhinge the arms, supposedly. Oh, I was concerned I was going to break it there. So there is a clip there and there, which plug in together really quite tightly, which is nice. That's nice for transformation. You can hear a nice solid sat there, but it does need a bit of force to unclip it for transformation. And same that side. The back will fold down. The jets will come up like so. The head will lift up like that. Then the legs unclasp. There we go, they fold down. I was expecting them to unclasp, but no, they fold down. Then they come up, like so. The back ankle bits fold out. Why is that one in a different position? Oh, no. There we go. Then the legs will, or the feet, sorry, will fold down like so. That's our feet. Then the head and torso fold all the way down, and these connectors will plug into, so the connectors plug into these on the legs like so. Yep. Then this piece, one thing I've never been a big fan of with these transformer instructions, sometimes it's a little hard to truly see what is being clipped where. Okay, so I've figured it out. It's this port here which is going to go into the back here. So there we go. You push it down and almost back a bit. There is a bit of force there needed to get it clipped into position. Next is moving the arms into position, so what they literally just fold down and come to rest in this section here. So 1 and 2. There we go. It's a nice firm solid clip. And then it appears that this, all right, so the cannon will come to clip into this port here. So you can see there's a nice firm rest, and this arm is going to do something similar as well. So there's another port here which will rest into there, so you need to turn the arm with the hand facing down and try to line this up. Come on. There we go. Nice firm press will get it into position and sorted. Then the jets are going to come up and clip into these two ports here. Yep. Then we take our gummy knife and this then plugs into the side here apparently. It just slides in like that. Oh, it's pulling it off from there and up to here apparently. So there we have our alt mode, I think. So I think the bottom of these heels are supposed to come up and sort of act as a cover for for the face. I'm just not seeing it. That one sort of wants to come up, but there. Well, I think they just rest like that, so we definitely get a visible face syndrome. Otherwise, that is our tank mode, I believe. Let's get the instructions out of the way and let's get a proper look at this. So, we need to. You want to move the cable back because otherwise it's just going to catch on the surface. I wonder if we move this into the... Oh, so let's bring that back. No. So that's going to continuously... there's nowhere. That is just going to continuously rub against the surface, which then affects the ability for it to move on its treads. Well, I said treads, it's just the little wheels here. Overall, it looks pretty much like it did in the film. If I remember, I think we briefly saw Shockwave in this tank mode. It's very much a Bay style tank mode, not that dissimilar from what we were seeing with things like Megatron and everyone else in the films. You know, it's visible head syndrome, which always annoys me. It's just... it's these gummy bits of rubber which really undo this figure for me. If these had all been a hard plastic, it would be a fantastic figure, bar this cable here. I suppose if you do that, you can get it out of the way. It's not really... and even then, it doesn't roll fantastically. There's definitely other better Transformers out there. But it is what it is. There's no tilt or posability with the cannon that you often see with a lot of these figures, which is a bit of a disappointment. There's nothing really else to add. I don't think it's going to be FX compatible. Okay, I don't have an FX. Oh, yes I do. Yes I do. Yes I do. And no, it is definitely not FX compatible. It's too big of a gap to... I suppose you could take this one and just sort of slide it in, but it's not FX compatible, sadly. Transforming him back, it should be a simple case of just unclipping everything. Nearly lost our camera. So the arms come up. These come down, arms come out, legs come away, torso lifts up, legs come back and clip together, supposedly. There we go. So it's a firm press to get these clipped back into place. Feet come back into their position. These back ankle bits come... careful not to bend them too much, otherwise they do come... they're just on a hinge like this, so I'll be able to plug it back in a minute. Same with this one. The head comes up, the arms... so the back cannon folds down, the arms... there we go. The arms will then move round and clip back into position here. And head can come down, our arms come back. And there we have Shockwave back in his robot mode. Transformation either way is simple enough. There's not a lot to it. It's reasonably intuitive. Once you know all the plug points, it's intuitive enough to do it. I like the figure. I would have liked a waist swivel, but I guess for transformation purposes, you're not going to get it. It looks like the character as he appeared in the film, in both robot and tank mode. I like how the cannon has a resemblance to the giant tunneling worms that Shockwave controlled. The paint apps on this are fantastic. There's some really nice detailing throughout. And it's even to a higher level than I would expect from a Studio Series figure. However, I really do not like these rubber plastic bits, especially this accessory here. It is so gummy. You can see even here it almost looks warped. It's very, very disappointing. And it completely detracts from what would have otherwise been a superb figure. But sadly, these rubber plastic bits really do undo it for me. And they essentially, I don't want to say they ruin the figure, because I still like it. Once it's on display, you're not necessarily going to notice the rubber bits. But yeah, it does take away from this quite a bit for me in that sense. Otherwise, the paint apps, as I've said, are great. I really like the look of him. Again, I'm glad to have him into my collection. I'm happy to have pre-ordered it, so I know that I didn't miss out. But equally, now knowing what I know, if I had missed out, I don't think it necessarily would have been the end of the world for me in terms of transforming collecting. But there we have it. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Remember, freedom is the right of all sentient beings, and until next time, stay safe.